Parents can be great allies to one another, sources of wisdom, support, and advice, but they can also be each other's harshest critics. Here now for their views on what this says about modern parenting, Sarah Liddell, child and family therapist, Alex Russell, clinical psychologist, Emma Waverman, parenting blogger at Today's Parent, and Anjum Chowdhury Nair, founder of MasalaMamas.com. And it's great to have everybody around this table today for this discussion about, one of the most fraught issues we can deal with in society today. I know you don't have to have kids to be an expert on this, but I still want to find out anyway who does and who doesn't here. So let's go around. Children?
I have a 5 and a 9-year-old.
5 and a...
Boy and a girl.
Okay, can I just for future reference say, as a firstborn, you have a 9-year-old and a 5-year-old.
Yeah, okay. The 5-year-old sticks in my head all the time.
Okay, but the 9-year-old came first, so mention the 9.
That's
this
right.
is going forward. Okay, Alex?
21-year-old daughter, 19-year-old son.
And in the right order, okay?
Thank you.
I have a 15-year-old son, a 12-year-old son, and a 9-year-old daughter.
Okay.
22-year-old son and 18-year-old son.
So all of you have expertise not only because of your professional backgrounds, but you're all parents too. So you've been through this before. So let's get into this. Let's start with you, Emma. Why did you think, at what point in your life did you think it is important that I start writing about parenting because I have this deep interest in it?
Well, I think that I was given an opportunity to write about parenting, and I thought, this is a chance to talk about parenting and sort of say to parents, hey, we can calm down a little bit about these issues. We can laugh at them, we can have fun with them, and we can also look a little bit beneath the issue and think, oh, this is about more than it appears. Let's talk about some of the cultural and social pressures that are on parents right now to be perfect and to have a Pinterest life. And let's try and unpack that a little and make things a little easier.
A Pinterest life, that's a new thing, eh?
Oh, it really is.
It is,
yeah,
okay.
Especially around Halloween.
Of course, of course. Anjum, how about you? How'd you get into this?
Well, I mean, for me, I was having a lot of conversations around cultural expectations at home when I first became a mom. Actually, when I was 7 months pregnant, those things started. So I felt, as a journalist, I felt there wasn't enough that I was finding online or in the space to talk about how culture plays a role in parenting. So for me, it was just, I really wanted to have an honest, open dialogue about what was being said in our own families and what wasn't being talked about. So that was my real passion for starting it.
Now, Alex, as a clinical psychologist, this is obviously, you have your firsthand knowledge of being a parent, but this is a very professional thing for you as well. How much does parenting and how people parent come up in your work?
Constantly. I mean, and so I ended up writing a book about parenting because in a sense I felt I had no choice. I mean, I was seeing increasingly situations in my office where there would be a child with a disorder, where usually anxiety, where you could see that actually the problem was the context in which the child was being raised. And I'm not just saying it was all the parents' fault. It was the pressures at school and the whole context around education right now. So increasingly, what clinical psychologists are dealing with are really stressed out children, and we're being asked to treat them, when in fact there's a problem we've got to start to fix the problem in the first place. We need proactive strategies to keep our kids from getting so stressed out in the first place.
And how about over here, Sarah?
So the work that I primarily do is with families who are, again, as everyone said, looking for information. So they're trying to find ways to think about what they do, what they don't do. They're trying to figure out how is it that somebody else's family seems to be working and mine doesn't seem to be working. And I think that what I really always admire about families is that they're constantly interested in trying to figure it out. They know they don't always have the answers, but they're interested in trying to find the resources of where to find it. And I think the challenge is that resources are very nicely hidden. We have lots of things that are posted that are like comic relief, but not necessarily helpful.
There's tons of stuff out there, and tons. It's amazing. I mean, you just spend 10 minutes on the internet, and it's amazing what you find. Emma, from the second you become a parent, well, maybe you can tell me if this was your experience as well. From the second you become a parent, there are people offering solicited and unsolicited advice, and beyond that, lots of judgment too if you don't do it the way they think you should be doing it. Why do we do that?
Well, I think that there's two things going on. One is that parenting is now very public. It's on the web, it's on TV, it's everywhere, and so everyone has a parent, even if you're not a parent yourself. So everyone feels like they could give an opinion on children. And I think also there's a lot of pressure now on to be a perfect parent and to raise this amazing, incredible child. And so put a lot of pressure on yourself. And then when you're worried about what you're doing, you can be more easily hurt, I think, by judgment or by comments or random comments.
Where does that come from, this notion that we have to raise perfect children?
You know, I don't know. I don't think my parents ever felt that way. I think, you know, they
But I
came.
hear this. I think she's right. Do you get this sense
mean,
now that we've
yeah.
they got to go to the best schools, they got to have the best stuff, they got to
They
the
have to be on
best
the best teams.
best teams,
I
best
think that's
hockey
because
club.
parents themselves are having a lot of conversations, you know, whether they're having them virtually or, you know, over coffee, and they're feeling kind of that they've got a standard to hit, you know. So we've, even culturally, for example, we've got a number of grandparents that come in with their voices, and they say, well, we want you to do it better than we did, but hold on a second, we're just like you guys, you know? So I think that even with the cultural aspect, you know, you've got extended family weighing in, you've got uncles and aunties weighing in, you go to a wedding, a family wedding, and everybody's like, oh, wait, why aren't you putting him in soccer? Or why are you yelling at him in public? And, you know, it's all of that judgment. I think for some reason, everybody comes out of the woodwork. And in addition to that, I feel like we're also judged even outside of the parenting universe. We're judged by doctors, we're judged by lactation consultants, we're judged by, you know, nurses in the hospital. So I feel like the minute we have a child, there's already a standard set that we need to meet.
How did it transform from advice to?
Well, I mean, I think as we think about it, it can look like parents need to have perfect children. But there are other drivers too. Another way to think about it is parents identify with the parenting role more than ever before. We really see ourselves as on the hook for our kids' behavior. Right. When our kids screw up, it feels to us, whether we're aware of it or not, like it's a sign of parental incompetence. So, you know, when children mess up, they fail a test or they screw up in the park or the playground, parents feel an absolute, very powerful motivation to get in there and prove that they're a good parent in front of all the other parents. It feels directly like, I've just screwed up. So it's maybe not so much sometimes that my kid needs to be perfect, it's just that I can't tolerate when they make mistakes.
I wonder, Alex, if part of it as well, unlike previous generations, let's go back 50 or 100 years, when they had a whole mess of kids, you know, we have one or two or maybe three nowadays, for the most part. And therefore, the added pressure to get, you know, the one or two that we've got right, there.
Maybe it's the numbers, but it's the whole context around parenting. I mean, parents today identify with the parenting role and they invest so much of their lives into their kids that we tend to over-identify with our children's success. We need them to succeed not just for them, but increasingly for us too.
Why so much judgment?
I think because parents are trying to seek an answer, and in doing that, they're constantly looking. And so what happens is they ask these questions, they feel the answer comes into them, and they think, oh, I am doing that. Oh, I'm not doing that. Oh, okay. And then the expert changes next week. So some other expert has come out with some other new idea about what's the best way to do it, and the parent thinks, oh, okay. So so I should be incorporating that. Okay, I need to do that. Oh, you're not doing that. Well, maybe I need to do it differently. And I think that what happens is that they barely have time to breathe. And I think that they no longer have the sources of information that I think our parents' generation had, that were kind of consistent sources of information. Where, you know, my parents might have gone to their 2 or 3 best friends, and the circle was a bit smaller, and it was a circle that was similar to them in lots of different ways, economically, socially, that kind of thing. And so the expectation was the same. I think for families now, they don't have that kind of smaller source of information, so they're seeking it from a larger source, which then makes more opportunity to have
we've got the internet.
Critical and
we've got the internet, so we've got a million different sources.
And none of them do you personally know. You know, Facebook,
Right.
you know, everybody posts everything that's happening in their lives on Facebook. Well, that opens up comments for people to say, oh, first of all, you posted a picture of your child. Oh, some people think that's good. Oh, you sent them to soccer. Oh, they weren't wearing the right shorts. And but you've put yourself out there in a way that allows those comments to come back to you. And then it's very difficult once that comment comes back to not feel judged, to not feel like I should be doing something different.
Does it feel to you like parents today are more insecure about their parenting skills?
Absolutely.
And they judge them like they judge themselves. They're just not sure.
Absolutely.
And therefore they need more sources of outside information and are more susceptible to being judged.
Yeah, and I think
where does
that
that
the more
come from?
sources we can quote to say, well, I read this today, and I think that we should all do it this way, or or you battle a conversation you're having with your spouse about how he was raised by his parents, and you're like, well, you're a mama's boy, or you're a, it's all of that. I think that we are constantly, because we have this thing where we have to judge other parents, or we were judged previously, then we feel that we need to keep coming up to that standard. And there is that constant sense of failure. I mean, Facebook is terrible for that. Even just just like with back to school, like all these kids are all prepared and you're still trying to shop for a pencil case. Like it's just, I think the online space has created a little bit of that culture.
You notice increased insecurity among parents
absolutely.
today?
Our whole idea of what childhood is has changed. Children used to grow up, now we raise them. It's like children are crops and we're child farmers, So we're constantly fertilizing them and measuring them and pruning them. And we just don't give them a chance to grow up on their own and discover reality on their own. It's like we implicitly or explicitly believe we have to manage every aspect of their lives all the time.
Yeah, go ahead.
My mom sometimes says to me, "We didn't think about parenting as much as you do." Yeah. And it goes back to what Alex says, is I don't think my parents saw my childhood as a reflection on them.
But that wasn't always a good thing.
No, absolutely.
The fact that they didn't think about parenting was often quite problematic.
Yeah.
Like we have gained a lot. I mean, it's important to make that
I think
common.
that's true, is that it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back maybe a little bit. But
Or did they have more innate skill at it? Is that
No, I
possible?
don't think
always.
so. No.
No?
I mean, they were better at practicing, if I can say it, benign neglect. I don't really like the term, but I mean, they were better at giving us that space to explore and so on. But they weren't as good at minding us, at paying attention to us, at being present in our lives, understanding what we need emotionally.
Maybe of each individual child in the family.
Yes.
Maybe that wasn't as
There's real
thought about.
gains.
Well, I mean, partly I think a lot of our parents came from families of 6 or 5 or however many, and so they were just used to not being paid attention to, and now it's a different source of now we're going to micromanage everything about our kids, and our parents are like, we didn't have sleep schedule. What are you doing? I get that grief from my parents when I had kids in the beginning. They're like, we don't plan everything. We just took you to a midnight party and you're fine.
I think the other thing too is I think that we've also learned around how children learn, how they grow, and I always try to say to parents, it's not that they did it wrong because often parents will say, well, my mother didn't do it that way, so I'm not doing it that way, and I'll say, you know what? They did what made most amount of sense at the time with the information we had. We should be doing things differently now. We have new information all the time around how we learn, how the brain develops, how children gain their information, maintain their information. And so I think that we should be thinking about doing it differently. I think the challenge is how do we incorporate that in a way that makes parents feel confident, like when they make a decision, that they're okay with the decision they made, regardless of what the Smiths next door have decided to do. So that they feel like, for my family at this time, what I've decided makes sense. And I'm good with that, and I'm okay with the fact that you made a different choice.
Having said that, nowadays it feels like, Alex, you tell me if this is true, it feels like we have to sign up to a particular parenting strategy or niche or like a school, right? We're from the free-range parenting school, or we're from the long-leash parenting school, or we're from the helicopter parenting school.
I don't think anybody actually subscribes to that particular one. I think they just
They
end
just
up
are.
being in it.
They end up being in it. Well, are you noticing that people feel a need nowadays to kind of sign up to a particular school of thought on this?
I think so. I mean, I think because there's this hunger, there's almost a desperation for the information, the knowledge, the parenting skills. I mean, there's a real burden on parents to get it right. Parents are parenting in isolation more than ever before. We don't raise our kids in villages. Our kids come home from school and we're responsible for checking their homework and getting the nutritious meal in them and getting them to ballet, getting them back again. And it's so much weight on my shoulder, mom and dad, and we think everybody's watching us. The child's outcome is a direct reflection of how well we've done. So there's a desperation, a real hunger for the right skills. Yeah.
Why do we do this?
Wow. I don't have an answer for that. I think that, I think parenting is isolating on its own without having all the other factors put in. For me, I was the firstborn. I was just learning how to parent the first time myself. I had this amazing mom who basically was mom and dad for me for most of my life. And I still to this day feel that I want to do what my mom did. I want to have that energy when my kid comes home and jump up and down with them. And I think I will always feel inadequate, to be honest. I will always feel not good enough.
How can you say that?
I
really, look
think-
at you. You're a remarkably successful person, if I may say. Why would you feel the slightest bit insecure about your parenting skills?
I think because I just feel like my parents did it better. I feel like my patience isn't as much as my parents, but then, they let a lot of things go. And then it's the same thing. It's that how much do you let go? How much do you not let go? And then you've got the teachers weighing in to say, your child needs to be responsible for their own agenda and their bag. And you're like, oh, I need to remind them. So it's just a constant battle.
As you talk about this, one of the things that starts to emerge is we're not meaning to do this, but we're becoming very disrespectful to children because we're underestimating what they can take on for themselves. We're doing it constantly. It's one of the, you say, well, how's it happening? That's one of the big drivers. As we get more and more attuned into kids and give them what they need, we underestimate what they can take care of on their own.
I presume part of this is parental guilt. They're guilty that they're not around enough, or
it could be a part of it, but it's institutional too. I just heard about an elementary school that's banned birthday parties unless you invite everybody in the grade. But the idea that a 10-year-old can't handle not being invited to a birthday party is disrespectful to 10-year-olds. Of course they can handle that. So we keep setting the bar too low. We keep underestimating children's emotional resilience, their capacity to take on the world for themselves.
And if we underestimate, then parents are the ones picking up the pieces. We're the ones who are creating that shelf for them.
Yeah.
So
how are they going to learn those coping skills if we do everything for them every step of the way?
They're not.
They're not. Right.
They're not, and I think that the challenge is that certainly the families that I'm starting to see, I think the families are slowly starting to recognize actually that their children don't have some of these skills. The questions that come to me are more and more about, I am worried because my son didn't get invited to his friend's birthday party and he's shattered. That's not okay. So I'm starting to see families slowly start to see that, how do I build some capacity in them? How do I build some capacity to say, life doesn't always work exactly as you want it to work, but what do you do with the emotion when it doesn't work? And I think that that's a good sign that they're starting to kind of look for, how can we teach them? And I think we spend a lot of our time really around helping children with emotional regulation. And I think we've started to see it in the schools. We're starting to talk a little bit more about teaching children to manage their emotions. So it's not about not having emotion. It's about, how do you deal when you feel scared? How do you manage when somebody's not nice to you? How do you manage when you don't get on the team the way you thought you were supposed to get on the team? And I think if we can teach children those kinds of skills, parents will feel more competent in being able to say, it's okay if he's upset that we can't do this tonight because I've had a long day or whatever.
Let me do a survey at the table here. When your children first got to what you thought was the age where they could walk to school by themselves, how old were they?
Well, we don't really walk to the school, unfortunately, because it's really too far to walk. So
you
I do drive them in the morning.
Drive them to
Someone
school.
drives them in the morning.
So this is not an issue for you?
Yeah.
Alex?
9, 10?
Your kid walked to school for the first time at 9?
Yeah.
Or 10?
Yeah.
Alone?
Well, together. They're 2 years apart. So
Okay.
it might have been 8 and 10, 9, 11, around that. Yeah, grade 4, 5, 6.
But the older one was, you think, 10 years old, and the younger one, therefore, 8.
Yeah.
Okay, coming back to you.
I'll have to check. They're watching. They're going to do that.
Coming back to you.
my
Emma?
son also walked to school with a friend across the street at, I think, 9.
At 9.
Yeah,
How long a walk?
2 blocks.
2 blocks. Your case, how long a walk?
Yeah, 2.5.
2.5 blocks from home to
Across
school.
the street?
Okay, Sarah?
About the same. And again, there were siblings, so the younger one was younger. The older one was probably 10. And again, it wasn't very far. We can kind of see the school from our house, just up the street. And mostly they would walk home from school. Often in the morning they would get dropped off because they had music or whatever in the morning. But mostly it was the walking home. And for me as a parent, it was terrifying, no question about it, because it was before cell phones. Actually, I wouldn't allow them to have a cell phone. That was the interesting part, arguments about that. But the cell phone to me was a later age. But you didn't know when they were exactly leaving school and when they were walking in the door. And so I would be calling them, on the phone in the house, waiting for it to ring and for somebody to answer it. So it was actually scarier because it was after.
What was the fear?
That's a good question, actually, because
Kind of nebulous,
it's a nebulous
sort of
fear.
like-
And the thing was, is after a while, you kind of think, well, that's a ridiculous fear. So you still do it, and I think that's what we're to promote to parents, to say, you know what, you can be a little scared, you can be a little nervous about their capacity to walk home, because it's a skill they haven't done yet, and they maybe don't know how to do it exactly right. But sit on your fear. As a parent,
Suck
you're
it
the
up.
older person. You need to be able to sit on it and say, deep breath, they're going to do this. I'm the one that's worried. Oh, look at that. They did answer the phone at 3:35 when they walked in the door. Take a deep breath. And then what you've taught your children is capacity. It's an amazing feeling for a child to feel like, look, I did it and I got myself home. And even maybe I was a little
And my
nervous.
parents trust me
But
to
my
do
mother
this.
believed that I could do this. My dad knew that I could do this. And then the next time they go to do something, a test, a tryout for a team, trying to make a new friend, they feel like, oh yeah, I was a bit worried, but you know what? I got past that and I can do this. And that's, to me, an amazing strength.
Now here's the thing, and here's where I want to follow up. Okay, 10 and 8, they're going together. It's not a far walk. Urban setting, so lots of people around. Presumably, if anything did happen, they're not out, they're not out in the middle of a field, rural Ontario by themselves. Everything's fine. There are going to be people watching this who are going to say, boy, if I'd seen you kiss your kids off to school at 10 and 8 by themselves in the morning, I'd have called the cops on you. That's way, 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 way too young. Yeah. What do you say to that?
Well, what you have to be able to say is, I'm still going to do it. In other words, to parent your child the way they need to be parented so they can develop this resilience and capacity, it takes courage. It really does.
On the part of the parent.
The parent's part. You have to have the conviction that they can handle this and that you're on the right path and you're going to stand strong in the face of this judgment. But by the way, that judgment is often projected. Like, it is true that some parents judge other parents, but not nearly as much as it's, what we're really talking about is our fear of being judged. And it's a bit of a it's an important distinction that when you parent this way and you have the courage to let your child go out there and work in the world and take on what he or she can, you're going to be worried about being judged. You're going to be conscious of being judged, but only a certain percentage of the time are you actually going to be judged.
Well, but there have been we've seen stories in the media.
Yeah, it does happen.
We have seen stories in the media, Anjum, of it's not their kids, it's other parents entirely. And they think it's wrong that the kids are being allowed to walk to school at a young age, and they call children's aid, or they call the cops or something like that.
It takes courage and it takes a community. So I often tell parents, find other parents to work together, build a community, build a village.
It's really what you
do.
and
so you can support each other. And in that community, what you want to do as parents is when someone screws up, when my co-parent screws up, not to finger wag, but to say, that's a drag, I can relate to that, I screwed up yesterday. So that there's a kind of a community of supportive people that are just doing their best. It's a rough and ready job raising kids. You do your best, you protect them, you give them what they need, and then they go out in the world and fend for themselves.
Now, ironically though, Emma, I think it's probably harder nowadays to create that village because we don't know our neighbors, right? In the most part, we don't know our neighbors.
I don't know. I have to argue with that.
Okay,
I know
maybe
my
you do.
neighbors, and I have found that my parenting community has been a community of choice that has been incredibly supportive.
Where do you live? Wait, you're in Toronto?
I'm in Riverdale.
In Riverdale. Okay,
Beautiful
so you live in
Riverdale.
Riverdale. For people outside Toronto who don't know, Riverdale is...
It is a nice community.
It's a
There's
nice
no
little
question.
community in the middle of a very
Yeah.
big city, and it really is a community.
But I think that people find that community online as well. I think people find it through, maybe they don't meet the parents of their first child, but their second or third child, they connect with some parents. I think that I don't always agree with my friends' parenting decisions, but I still support them to make those decisions, and I'm still there when those decisions do or don't work out. And
If you don't agree, do you tell them so?
Sometimes, maybe I've even written about it, but I think...
Not necessarily.
But not necessarily, of course.
Yeah.
I think that's being human. I think that we judge each other. People who work together judge their work colleagues, same way as parents judge each other. And I talk to my husband in bed about, oh, did you see this and whatever. And then the next day, we move on and whatever. I think that parents judge, but I agree with Alex that if you feel judged, that's really probably more about your own insecurities and fears than it is about what's happening around you. If I've made a decision and I feel really comfortable with it, if someone judges me, it doesn't bother me. I just assume it's their problem.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, even though I said, I always feel inadequate, it's more that, you manage that fear base and you manage that fear of judgment. So, with my own parents, they'll say, well, whatever, you shouldn't yell, you can have long-term effects. And my mom's a psychologist, so she psychoanalyzes everything I do. But yeah, I live with that.
Okay, that's why you don't feel,
But see, there you go. No,
now-
but she's awesome. But I will actually push back. So, I mean, sometimes, I'll say, well, Mom, this is how I'm doing it. Let me parent. Or my dad will interfere and I'll say, but Dad, you weren't the greatest parent too, so let me just do
Oh,
this. You know?
snap. You say that to your father?
No, we do have discussions at home because, you know.
You say to your father, Dad, you weren't the greatest parent, so
No,
get off my back?
in some ways, I think in some ways everybody has a weakness. So I have a weakness. You know, my dad and I both have this. We had no patience. You know, and I think that's where I get it from. That's where he was. But he's worked through that, and he's amazing with my kids now. So I think it's really about learning to manage those conversations. And I think, like Emma, I mean, I found a great network online. I mean, I was struggling with being alone on some certain conversations I was having with my family, and so I started tweeting about it, and it was amazing the people that came to me and had the same issues. I met them in person. It's kind of fun. You know, I think you as a parent find the best way to cope and the best way to manage your life as a mother or as a dad, and you make it work. And if your kids turn out healthy and sane, you've done something right.
Let me pick up on healthy, because now, vaccines, okay? Let's talk vaccines for a second. I presume in your travels, all of you or some of you have run into some parents who don't believe in vaccines, who aren't going to get their kids vaccinated, despite all the overwhelming evidence and blah, 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 and okay, we all know what we're talking about here. If you ran into somebody who wasn't going to vaccinate their kids, would you say something to them?
I think that what I have done is to try to kind of ask the questions why. I really try to, when I'm teaching parents, when I'm working with parents, as opposed to kind of saying, oh, I think that's a bad idea, to try to encourage the question, so tell me why you did that. And I think that sometimes when I'm able to do that, and frankly, I'm not always able to do that in my personal life, but as a professional, I try to do that. But but you have to catch yourself and say, let me try to ask the question. So why did you do that? And often they might give you a reason that then makes perfectly good sense. Their child, I don't know, is immune deficient themselves or something.
What if they say we're not getting our children vaccinated because I read some article by Jenny McCarthy that vaccinations will give you autism and therefore I'm not going to do it? Do you say something?
Oh yeah. I kind of try to say something along the lines of, we should always make sure the information we're getting is actually accurate. So again, to kind of try to say, like, there's lots of information out there, and I'm fine if you're following actual accurate advice. But if you're following advice that actually has been disclaimed, maybe you want to look someplace different for a better source.
What do you do?
It depends if you're asking me in my personal or professional guise.
Well, professionally,
right?
it's easy professionally.
Okay, yes.
It's more difficult
You're
personally.
asking, like, in my personal life?
Yeah.
I would probably tend not to weigh in.
Even though you know it's insane. I shouldn't say that word, right?
You do, Steve.
I shouldn't say that word. Well,
Yeah, I mean, for me, there's such a huge priority on building supportive connections with parents and helping parents feel confident in their own intuitive way of parenting. That, for me, that often trumps details. I mean, I know that's not a minor detail, something like that, and there's public health issues as well. But for me, it's just such a priority to be supportive to other parents, and I actually don't feel like I need to push my opinion on other people in my personal life. So I'm just very cautious about people having opinions about each other's parenting. I think what we really need is to feel like we've got people who have our backs.
let's take the next step then. Would you, obviously I don't know what any of you women did as it relates to breastfeeding your children, but if you're pro and you had a friend who wouldn't, and maybe, was violently opposed to it because for whatever reasons, would you say something?
You know what? I've had both experiences where I could nurse and where I couldn't nurse. And sometimes it's something that women don't talk about. So a woman won't necessarily come to you and say, I'm not breastfeeding because I had a really bad birth and I had a C-section that didn't allow me to medically, whatever. They'll just say I'm not doing it because they don't want to have the conversation. So you really don't know what's gone on with that woman or that person in the hospital or previously as a mom. So I wouldn't judge her, and I don't to this day. I have lots of friends who don't nurse. I chose to, but I couldn't with both kids. I could only do it with one. So I've got an experience from both sides. I won't go there. I just think you do what you can, and if you can nurse, great, but it's not like you become a hero if you do, really. So.
I also had an experience where I had multiple situations where I couldn't nurse and couldn't nurse. I tell parents that are new moms, and I have a bunch of new moms in my street, that if you need support, I'm here to talk about that. I hope all mothers who are watching this who have young infants right now will know that By the time your child is 3, that is never ever discussed again. So whatever split that has in your mommy group, in the first 6 months, it completely evaporates. And so I think that sometimes the divisions between parents are so created, but they also disappear so fast.
Do you find a lot of judgment on this issue?
On breastfeeding, yes, I do, and I probably have been part of that on both sides of the street. And I'm sorry that if I ever made another mom feel uncomfortable, because now I know whatever the benefits are, in the end, it doesn't matter as much as you think it matters, or as much as you hate yourself while you go through it.
Sarah?
I definitely don't judge on that topic. I think that that's one in particular that the medical field does enough of that on its own, and I have both personally and professionally challenges around that, and I think women struggle deeply when they're first new moms, and I think that adds to a plate in a situation where they're already feeling unnerved every second of, you don't get a manual. When you leave, and I remember going up to the desk when they could tell me I could take my first child home, and I said, isn't there something I'm supposed to sign? Like, there must be something I'm supposed to do. And she said, no, you're good to go. And I remember thinking, holy mackerel, this is starting. And I think that those issues like breastfeeding add unbelievable amount of stress that doesn't need to be there. And so for that one, I'm like, what's working for you? What can be helpful? Is there something I can, is there something I can do to help? If there is, fantastic. If you just want me to sit here, that's fantastic too. If you just want to tell me how mad you are that you can't, or how mad you are that you are, either way, I think that that's fantastic for them.
In our remaining moments here, let's put one last thing on the table, and that is, you've all referred to this at one point here, that it really does take a village to raise a child, or perhaps in the most beneficial of circumstances, you'd like a village to help raise your children. How do you create that village? Alex, you want to start on this?
Well, when I got the call to do this show, he said, we're doing a show on how to, I thought, great, I'll watch that show. Then, oh crap, I'm on that show. Because I think we're really beginning to focus on this question, and it's an important question. I don't know about the answers yet. I don't have concrete things to say other than, first of all, to say, make it a huge priority. I think we're really beginning to realize what a priority that is. That what's happening is, we've said it earlier, that parents are raising their kids in such incredible isolation, and it's a crazy-making scenario for parents and children. It's not working. So we need to find a way to get back to communities of support, not only where parents support each other, but really importantly, where children are parented by the other parents in the community. It's so critical. And it used to be that way. My Aunt Julie was scary when I was little, and she's a lovely lady, but she was a mom who could definitely set me right.
But when your aunt insinuated herself into your business, did your mother or father say to
Absolutely
his
not.
or her sister,
they would say thank you.
Mind your own
later.
business? You don't get
Later they would say thank you, because better coming from you than from us. External authority figures can create an emotional reaction in your child that you, the parents, cannot. When we're upset with our children, we make them feel guilty and ashamed. Those are important emotions early in life. But as we get out in the world, we need to sometimes be anxious about our behavior. And that's what external authority figures can do. They can scare me a little bit. And I realize, okay, that didn't work. And so we actually need we need each other to help raise these children.
In which case, Emma, if you don't live in Riverdale, as most of the people watching this program don't, how do you create that village?
I think there's, public health is one way. You call them if you're a new mom. They set you up with other moms in your community. You won't love all of them, but maybe one or two of you will click. I think that's a place where the online community can be great, either through Twitter or forums, old-fashioned forums or whatever. Masala moms, there are lots of places to find people who have the same parenting anxieties and theories as you do. And I think, as Alex said, connecting, get out to a mommy group, get out to a music program, even if you can't sing, do whatever you can to find people.
Give you a second to say, what's a masala mama?
A masala mama is basically anyone that's got a little bit of spice in their life, really, if you had to put it that way. But the community is the South Asian diaspora. It's really, the topics are really about culture and parenting and how to balance cultural expectations with motherhood. So again, judgment, that comes in when you've got cultural values and cultural philosophies coming in as parents. So I agree with Emma. I was just thinking, I think, even if you have your own family community groups, when you're in there, don't be judging each other about, that 20,000 classes you've got your kid in or whatever. I mean, I think we should just talk about, oh, we had this disciplinary problem. How did you deal with it? And let everybody else have a say, and maybe get them to have, that ability to discipline your child in a way that's constructive. I agree.
You take the last 30.
I think we need to ask questions of each other. I think that when we're in the playground and we're standing beside, somebody, we might want to say, so, how does your child like that teacher? How does your child, what is it that he likes about going to soccer? So that to me, those are the ways that we get more informed ourselves in terms about ideas and challenges and solutions to things. But I also think that then it connects us, because I've now not said my opinion necessarily to you, but I've asked you, and now you and I have a little something in common. We have 2 children who are in soccer. And I think that that's how we build individually these communities. Because communities are great to talk about in this, but we all have to be responsible for what we're going to do on a daily basis. And I think as individuals, we can say, you know what, today when I'm standing in the park, or I'm standing in line and that mother has this little child who's screaming beside her and having the tantrum about the chocolate bar that we've all had, instead of going, oh my gosh, we might say, been there,
Right.
or, can I? So you just give her a look. You don't have to you just have to give her a look to say, I'm here. I get it. I understand what you're feeling, and I think that would be helpful.
Great advice, everybody. Thank you very much for sharing it today. Good to have you all at TVO tonight.
Help TVO create a better world through the power of learning. Visit supporttvo.org and make a tax-deductible donation today.